Critical Eye. Today, we focus our lens on youth inclusivity in matters politics and governance, which is why I have a panel of brilliant gentlemen who are going to offer their 2 cents on this contentious topic. As a general rule, I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves briefly, starting from the gentleman from my far left.
Okay, thank you a lot, Mr. Odila, for this invitation. I'm Jimmy Magero from the University of Nairobi. I also chair Kisumu County Student Association. That is an umbrella union bringing together universities, colleges, and tertiary institutions within Kisumu County.
Thank you.
Asante sana for this invitation.
Thank you.
Yes, my name is Victor Omondi. I am the chairman Vichy Foundation and an aspirant for Kisumu Central constituency for the 2022 election.
It's great to wish you well.
Thank you.
And on my right,
My name is Vincent Opio, the student chairman of Kenya Institute of Management and also a political aspirant, West Game 2022. Thank you for this invitation, Mr. Odima.
okay, I wish you all well. I noted all of you have political aspirations. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your brevity. Now, we will start our deliberation shortly after this commercial break. But for now, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay tuned for the next part of this powerful piece. Welcome back. We now go straight to the business of the day, and I'm going to just pose a simple question to my panelists. Okay, I'll start with you, Mr. Magero, now that you're the starter. Okay, given how things stand currently in governance and politics of this country, what can you comment about youth representation? Has the government done enough to achieve youth inclusion?
Okay, to respond to your question, Mr. Odila, first, I would like us to go back to the Constitution and the Constitution definition of representation. I feel that we need to redefine representation in our Constitution. And the reason as to why I'm saying this is because of the political patronage that we have been seeing. Appointments being made not based on merit, but based on who knows who in the government. And my worry is that if you look at those or the young people who are being appointed or young people who are representing us, it makes the whole meaning of representation to lose its meaning. Because from my little understanding of representation or my little knowledge in research, it tells me that a representative should have the characteristics of the entire population. So what we are proposing is that if young people have to be appointed in any office or in any position, we expect that the people who are being appointed are people who resonate with their fellow young people. Like I will propose that in the event that the president maybe wants to make an appointment, and then there's a space for youths, they will go ahead and make an appointment based on the definition of youth in the Constitution.
And maybe just to interject,
Yes.
in your own opinion, what's the definition of who a youth is, or who a youth should be?
Okay, the Constitution, I don't have any problem with the definition of a young person in the Constitution between age 18 and 35.
Okay.
The only problem that I have is representation. We've been having young people appointed who are between age 18 and 35, but still young people feel misrepresented. So what I'm trying to bring across is that if we have to be represented, then let the government allow young people. We have got very vibrant young people who have been out here fighting for young people selflessly, without any self-interest. We want young people to be the ones to vet those who are to be appointed. Then we present them maybe to the president, and then amongst them we can have one person who will be resonating with the young people.
Okay, Jimmy, according to you, the young people we have in corridors of power,
Yes.
most of them are fighting for their own selfish interest.
Yes.
According to what you're trying to say.
I'm not saying that they are fighting for their selfish interest,
Yeah.
but I will say that they do not resonate with the problems of the mass, the young people. That's what I mean.
Mm.
Because if the president makes an appointment and then they justify with the constitution that the person who has been appointed is between age 18 and 35, and yes, they will have met the constitutional requirement of who is a young person.
Okay.
Now the big question is, does that person represent the interest of these people,
Okay.
the young people?
So, in a nutshell,
Yes.
the young in this country are not properly.
We are not properly represented,
Okay.
and what we want is that that representation should come from young people. We are the ones who are supposed to give any appointive authority the people from which they should choose any to represent us.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Maybe I'll move to Victor.
Yes.
What is your comment on that? Are we, at the young or the youth, properly represented in this country?
You know, to respond to this question, first of all, it's really a sad thing that in a country where the youth forms the majority of the population, we are grouped under the marginalized, you know, and the special interest category. And you hear these big politicians, they are competing with us. They say, in Kenya, you know, there's definition of being a youth according to constitution, then there's the political definition of a youth.
Okay.
So the constitution will tell you that a youth is this person who's between the age 18 and 35. But a politician will tell you a youth is a feeling. Yes. So yeah, to be a youth in Kenya, it has to be a feeling. So you can be 90 years old, but if you feel youthful, then you are a youth. So these are some of the things that, you know, has really brought a lot of tension between, if you look at our politics or the status of politics in Kenya right now, we have so many vibrant leaders who've come up to take up their positions, you know, but they are facing a big wave of opposition from the old wagons. Yeah, we don't have the financial muscles as these guys, the old guns, who've stayed in these positions for too long. And we wouldn't want to have a country where people compete on the basis of finances. We want a competition of ideas. So my response to the question is, youths have not been well represented in our country. And even those youthful faces we have are people who've been picked from their comfort zones and asked to occupy positions, things that they don't even have an idea about, simply because their uncle or their father was somewhere in the appointing committee. Yet there's someone like Jimmy here, for example, who's always fought for vijana mashinani on the ground. You know, he resonates very well with these vijana. I've been in the front line for youth representation. We've gone into prison, you know, we've been into cells, just fighting for the rights of these vijanas. But we will not be recognized. Yes? As much as we are not represented, my point to the youth out there, my call is, tuamke, kumekucha. We're not going to be used forever. So don't wait for these old guards who feel youthful and call themselves youth to appoint you. Yeah, so that's my comment about it.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Indeed, it was very articulate. Now, Vincent, over to you. Do you agree with what Jimmy had to say and Mr. Victor here, or you have a different opinion?
I agree with honorable members 130%.
Okay.
The second force after God's force is the youth's force. But when you come to our country, since independence, youths are the persons who are most ignored and not included, especially in positive development of our nation. There is a Swahili slogan that goes, vijana ndio viongozi wa kesho. But we keep on asking ourselves as youths, when will kesho reach? And this kesho has made even the very government included youths as one of the marginalized group within our constitution. But when you look at the government appointments, we are highly ignored. In fact, we don't even feature. Even in the office that represents youth, you will get that is led with 85 years old. So we fail to understand how will this old man understand or get the issues or the problems that youths are going through. So the government has not done much, but the time has come that we as youths, we have to join hands together. We have to speak in one voice and get our space, be it in political office and any other office within the government, for us to be heard and for our issues to be solved. Youths are the people who can solve the problems that youths are going through. Thank you. I think that.
Maybe Mr. Dilla, just before you continue,
Yeah, okay.
I want to agree fully with what Mr. Vincent has just talked about, and even my brother here, Victor. But the big question that we need to ask ourselves, that is there a goodwill, a political goodwill to empower young people?
Maybe I can ask you that.
I will say a big no. And you know, Africa has got the largest youth bulge as a continent, and African countries at large. And any nation that cannot capitalize on its youth bulge is a nation that does not have any goodwill to develop itself. Because these young people are the ones who are having new ideas. You cannot run away from the fact that we're having another generation with different ideas to solve issues that are affecting them currently. So involving young people in issues for policy making, policy formulation for a nation is something that is very important. So if they're not involving young people, they are losing a very big asset in a nation building.
Yes. In fact, it seems that youths only participate in creation of criminal office,
yes,
form of politics, especially after every 5 years.
Yeah.
It's the same place we are headed to.
What kind of a criminal office?
We participate in election with the high expectation or hope that we are that we are giving a mandate to the people that will fight for us, that will represent our issues. But at the end of the day, they use us as tissues and throw us away.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Indeed, I noted that all of you think that youth have been turned from viongozi wa kesho to viongozi wa kesho kutwa. So that will lead me to my next question. Now, as youth advocates, do you see some policy gaps that you can comment on that tend to impede the achievement of youth inclusivity? Now, maybe loopholes in the Kenyan constitution, some policy gaps that, if bridged, this phenomenon called youth inclusivity can be achieved.
Yes, we have a lot of loopholes and policy gaps that, as a nation, our government has failed big time. You know, when we talk about youth empowerment, we have the 30% procurement rule that the government to date has failed to implement it fully. We have vijana out there still struggling to get these tenders from the government. Yeah, recently we had the scandal from KEMSA. You could not see youths' names featuring there. Those were many millions and billions. So you'd ask yourself, where are youths? Yes? If you look at the registration of companies in Kenya, you'd find most of companies are owned by these youths. But then where do they get their tenders from? Yes? And this has really drained the youth who is an entrepreneur out here, the youth who is business-minded out here, because there's no opportunity. If you cannot trade with your government as a youth, a government you pay your tax to, a government you subscribe to, they don't trust you enough to do business with you, then what are they communicating? Yes? You would also talk about the affirmative action, which government has failed completely. You look at the political sphere, the youth representation, which we're discussing here today, does not reflect what is in the policy document. So these are just but a few gaps which I can identify and say that we have failed as a nation, and even as youths, we have also failed.
Okay.
Yeah, we've made our lives so difficult, such that Mr. Magero recently was telling me that Mr. Umondi, the biggest challenge we have with our nation is sometimes you sacrifice a lot, and you take the front line. You're ready to bite that bullet for the rest behind you. But these guys, when you're fighting for them, sometimes they force you to fight with your one hand, because the other hand will be busy, resisting the force they use to fight you from the back.
Okay.
So as a youth, I think we need to wake up. This is a wake-up call. We don't want to be this generation of thinking, talking, and doing nothing. You sit down, you think, come up with brilliant ideas, you talk about them, and that's the end of it. We want to be an action generation. Yes? Because remember, what we do as youths, where we stand today, this is going to determine where we are going to sit tomorrow when we are old. Yeah? So those are the few gaps I can identify, and I'm sure Mr. Magero here and my Kiongozi there will also definitely will have others.
Okay, before I go to any of them,
Yes.
You noted something about youth stabbing each other from the back.
Yes.
So that's your take on the situation with the youth on the ground.
Yes.
They don't support each other.
The youths have been, you see, it's not even their fault per se, because it's a strategy. I would say it's a strategy by the government to make sure that their youths are sick, they are hungry and broke. So that when you bring them wheelbarrow, for example, they will not listen to Jimmy who has an idea. They see that is your story. They look at it as, Maze, those are imaginations. Yes, what do you have? Give me 50 bob. You don't have it, they stab you from the back. Yes, they start saying that Jatosha Bonga.
Okay.
Yes.
That was very powerful. So, Vincent, what can you comment about that?
What I want to say, one, I think the government is indirectly saying that they have to starve us for them to use us. An angry youth is too dangerous for this country. It can do anything. They can be used in burning roads. They can be used in some kind of killing. But we need youth to be engaged in positive development of our nation. When you come to issue of tenders, sometimes I go through our daily papers. You will see the advertisement there. Some slots are made specifically for the youths, but these are just formalities. When you apply for these tenders, or you go to the office to acquire, to make some inquiries on what you can do, 1, 2, 3 things. Tambiwa, sorry, you have not qualified. You needed 1, 2, 3 things, but you find that these tenders had already been given to the big fish within the government. When you come to jobs, youths are you are being told that you make an application or you do 1, 2, 3 things, but already there are people who had already been assigned these jobs. So you are just there, but you are not taken care of.
Okay.
I think Magero can also top up.
I think I fully agree with my brothers, and it's good that we are in the same boat. And so it says that it's only the owner of the shoes who understands and know where it pinches. And looking at the policy gaps, I would say that the policies which are there to empower youth are very good policies.
Okay.
And looking at even the allocations which have been provided by the government to empower young people. We have got different avenues that we can explore as young people to empower ourselves. There's the Ways of Fund, we can up with the Youth Enterprise Fund. But now the problem is, are these policies put in place to empower young people, or they have been put in place and people appointed to use that gap to loot public funds? Young people can access Ways of Fund, they can access those Youth Enterprise Fund. But what happens is, immediately they apply, those who are in the office will only identify groups that they have talked to apply for this funds. Immediately that money is released, they don't even use it for the right purpose. Those who are in the office take something from it, and then the group is left with the other money, they squander it. But if you mean good for young people and you have got allocations, can you identify which are some of these projects that young people want to engage in? Once you identify those projects, have you empowered these young people, given them knowledge on how they can ensure, or on how we can ensure that the success rate of those projects that they've come up with goes up? But what happens is, it is just offices which have been created there to empower young people, but there is no goodwill in these offices. And number two, the process of accessing this fund. You find that those who are in these offices, they talk of their funds, but young people are not coming up to access those funds. That is their argument. So what do? Some of them say, pesa inakuja lakini tunarudisha kwa sababu vijana hawakuji. Now my question, if you have been appointed in that office, the assumption is that you are competent and you are appointed based on merit, that you had got a lot of knowledge on handling youth affairs.
Okay.
So if you are saying that you are returning money because youth are not coming for it, then you are now putting your appointment now, the merit, your merit into question. So you should come up with strategy, the people who are in that office, and plan on how young people can access these funds. Yes. So I feel that policies are there which are good, but either those who are in those offices are not competent, or they're deliberately deciding not to do the right thing. Yes.
But maybe if I can ask you this question outside today's topic. If you look at the way all of you have unanimously responded to that question, the question is youth inclusivity. There are a lot of policies that are in place, but then they have been overlooked. Yes. Maybe if we just take a flashback, what can you comment about past regimes and current regimes when it comes to matters of involving youth in matters, politics, governance, and all that? Do you have any comments about that?
Okay, I will say that the only difference that is there now between the past regime and the current regime is that there are more policies in place in the current regime. But in terms of implementation, the current regime have just moved like just one step. They can still do more.
So in short, the progress on youth inclusivity is there, but it's very slow,
Very
according to...
Actually, the problem that we have, that I will agree with my friend Jimmy, is policy implementation. Both regimes have had a very good policy, but when it comes to implementation, they forget about it. And you will get many a times, especially during political season, the youths, they will be the subjects and the objects of the political campaign.
Is it forgotten or just ignored?
It is ignored. It is ignored.
You see, that's exactly what I was saying. That we have a very serious disease in this country that I don't know how we are going to finish it. It's something that we will pass it on to our generations. The disease of thinking, talking, and doing nothing. People will sit down, identify problems affecting the youths, and come up with brilliant ideas, put them into policies, but implementation is a disease, a very big disease. The only thing that we've managed to implement perfectly well is you hear of these shenanigans of Warembo na Nani, you know, Vijana na Nini. Those ones, they are perfectly done.
The likes of Ababu Babes.
Yes, yes, things like Ababu Babes and vitu kama hiyo. But when it comes to serious matters, things that are supposed to bring a big change into a Kenyan youth of today, do you know, this issue has made us have this problem of you've heard of this Fuliza and Tala things. Yeah?
Economy.
This where they list these guys, it's called CRB.
CRB.
Yes? So many youths are into that CRB thing. Why? They are jobless, and then they run for loans, which they cannot even repay back. what impact does this bring to the business community? You know, the youth animal is something, if we do not handle it well, you can ignore youth today. But trust me, you're a businessman. You are saving your money into some bank where there are some youth who work there and get underpaid. Yes, we will not deal with, we will not finish corruption in this country if we do not take youth affairs with the seriousness it deserves. We will not finish the criminality in this country if we do not take these matters concerning youth with the seriousness it deserves. And it is so painful. The government is contributing to this. Like my friends here have said, that implementation has been a problem. But can you imagine today, our government is importing doctors in this country to fill gaps that our youths are looking for. Our doctors are tamaking today in Kenya. Yes, there's a doctor who graduated and 2-3 years down the line had a job, and that's a doctor. How do you still motivate your child that go to school and become a doctor or become a pilot?
Yeah, and maybe to react to what is just talking about, you know, you ask yourself that what is the essence of pumping billions in education?
Yes.
You know, it's like when you are planted, whatever you are putting or the input, you expect that the output should come with some profit. Yeah? And why pump billions in education?
Yes.
And at the end of the day, you are not looking at the output of what you had pumped. We expect that the government is supposed to be well conversant of the statistics of those who have graduated, who are out and not are not employed, and they should not just have statistics for the sake of statistics. They should not be telling us that, you know, this is the number of youth who graduate, these are the ones that are unemployed, and they are not doing anything about it. It is so shameful. They should do something about it. And it beats now the logic of pumping billions into education. If at the end of the day they're not looking at what comes out of it. So that's what I'm really mad about.
Okay, thank you very much. And of course, you guys have bridged me to my next question. So, like, there's this talk of unemployment. We just talked about lack of income. Just talked about an angry man who is a hungry man, and all that. So, like, can you comment about youth employment as an impediment to the achievement of youth inclusivity?
Youth unemployment
As an impediment. Yeah.
My friend, let me tell you this. Today, in our country, we have this notion, it's now a movement, they call themselves hustler movement. Yes? And this hustler thing has really grown pretty fast. Well, I'm not here to discuss hustler versus Kieleweke, whatever. But I'm using this as a case for my response to this question.
And as you respond to that question, yes. I'll request you to comment on the wheelbarrow economics.
The buttocks up. Sorry, bottom.
I think you should not be sorry for talking about wheelbarrow. You don't need to be sorry. These are the people messing us up.
Yeah. So like I was saying, recently I saw on Facebook Jalango post. He posted this lady who went to university. It's called the Multimedia University. She had her degree, and then today she's a carpenter. And Jalango was there saying how other youths are out there, wanaomba-omba, while others are busy building their lives. I posted a question on that page. I asked him, Jalango, suppose this girl would have just been taken straight to carpentry after high school. Don't you think the school fees they used in the university to see her through could have maybe used to help another 10 or 20 youths, you know, go through the same carpentry or masonry or something and get a job to do? And I am against this tagline for UDA, ati kazi ni kazi. I say no, kazi si kazi. This is where our problem as a nation began. This is where you'll find somebody is a teacher by training, but he is a regional commander.
Yes.
Okay. He's a regional commander somewhere. You'll find somebody is a chef, like in somewhere else he is a CS. You know? people are doing wrong things they didn't go to school to study.
And you think this is wrong for the
It is
nation?
wrong. It is wrong. It's like, for example, taking a mechanic, asking them to diagnose a patient in hospital.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get that.
Very true. You know, it is not a matter of we should settle for anything.
Yeah.
We are taxpayers, that is one. The government is there in place to ensure that they give us services. So it's not a matter of where you go to, whatever is there. At least you've gotten something. It is not a matter of at least you have gotten something. If it's a matter of at least you've gotten something, that is a failed government. The government must take responsibility and ensure that they come up with policies that they are going to implement to ensure that they make people live a dignified life.
Yes. But to add on what my brothers have been saying, I think the government also needs to create what we call an enabling environment for the youths and get rid of corruption. Our youths are highly educated and highly knowledgeable. In fact, our parents are really struggling so that the youths, after graduation, you will get a job, a good paying job, which will enable you to change the society or the family status. But it has not been true in Kenya. So a graduate, you get a graduate, somebody has even degree or masters in education or even in commerce, but is selling boiled eggs within the street. Yeah. This is an insult to our education system. It is an insult to the youths. It is an insult to our parents who are struggling to take us to school. Two, the government need to do something in our school. There is something I normally call a vicious circle, where a child from a poor village, you are taken to the poor school. In the very poor school, you get poor teachers. Poor teachers give you poor teachings. After poor teaching, you graduate. After graduating, you are absorbed in poor paying jobs. When you are absorbed in poor paying jobs, you come back and living in poor neighborhood. So the cycle keeps on moving. And I think this also entertains the government. They feel it's good. They don't want people to rise up. And time has come that we have to change the narrative as youths.
But maybe just to ask a very simple question. Most employers have blamed youth for being inexperienced, being lazy, being irresponsible.
I will laugh that off. You know, it is wrong for an employer to say a youth do not have experience. I mean, this is somebody who's gone to school. These are graduates. Yeah, he passed his exams. That is experience enough. He knows what he's supposed to be doing. You are trained as an accountant. You know how to handle your figures on the table. Yes? You graduated and you have a degree. That is an experience itself. You cannot compare somebody who has a degree and that person who was a class 8 dropout. That is where you say experience. You know? And they deny you these chances saying, and that's why many businesses are sinking. They think experience is age. You have to be old. You must have worked, do where, do what, nini. And then, no. Intelligence. For me, experience is intelligence.
Very true. And maybe just interject, Victor. You know, if they are talking about young people being inexperienced, at the same government is pumping billions in education, that the same people come up with curriculum education. So it tells you that they do not have trust in the process,
in their own system.
Their own system.
Yes.
So that tells you that even in the education system, they do not even mean good for the son of a peasant farmer who is going to such a public school. No wonder they take their schools to these international schools, and then for the son of a peasant farmer, you are left to go through a system that the government itself does not even trust in the first place. They talk about experience. How do you get experience if you have not even been employed to get us the experience? You know very well sometimes they advertise when there are vacancies and they tell you that they want maybe 10-year work experience, they want what number of years work experience, but you've never been given that opportunity. Anytime you apply for jobs, it's done for formality when they already know the people that they want to absorb. So I can say that we are in a sick nation, and young people have to just wake up. And I feel that I hope that we've been pushed to the wall, because finally we can see young people coming out to complain and lament strongly. It's high time we should stop now sitting on a table like this, discussing issues and issues to do with the youth empowerment and all that. We need to now go out and make sure that we claim our space. Yeah.
They need also to know that the youth, they have experience
Yes.
in looking for job opportunities.
Yes, that's the experience.
That's the experience. And maybe to add more about this unemployment issue. You know, the government is busy with the people in those offices. They are busy in pointing fingers at us, how we are incompetent, how we like easy. We don't like easy. Do you know what it takes to start a business in Kenya today as a youth?
Maybe you can
The
enlighten
paperwork
us.
itself, the licenses you require to have, and the cost implication. If you were to start, let's say, a small hotel today, somewhere karibu na barabara, for you to get that hotel on its feet running, my friend, you'll have to part up with up to 35,000 Kenya shillings. Hiyo imeenda.
Not even an hotel, we call it a mkahawa.
A kahawa.
Mkahawa, hii kidogo hii.
So for you to start a kahawa in Kenya, as a youth, you need 35,000 Kenya shillings. But what does it take you to get that kahawa boiling in your sufuria and serving it into the vikombe for your customers? It's less than 2,000. So you use 35,000 Kenya shillings to register your business, to get licenses, to practice whatever, and then you spend 2,000 as capital to run your business. Does it make sense?
And
Tax pia kwako.
And
Yeah.
that's now bring to my attention the issue of what the Building Bridges Initiative document was proposing
Yeah.
about the 7-year tax holiday. A good policy, yes, but to me, I felt like it was going to be a white elephant policy, if I may call it, because you're talking of a 7-year tax holiday, where young people starting any SME are not going to be taxed for 7 years until their businesses are established. But the question is, how much do a young person need as a startup capital? 50,000 shillings a young person can start with. 30,000, 35,000 that he's talking about, a young person can start something with it. But then the licensing processes and the cost for licensing alone will eat the whole startup capital.
Yeah.
So it's like there's food here, but there's a wall. You are told that is your food, eat it, and you cannot access it. So they need to understand the fact that even the licensing process is going to make the whole thing a policy that, to me, I've just defined as a white elephant policy. Yes.
Now that's
And you find that they bring foreign investors in our country who enjoy, they don't pay tax. You know, somebody comes in your country, they come to drain your resources, to underpay your citizens, and then they don't pay, you don't collect tax from them. I work for that organization and you tax me. Does it make sense? And I'm a youth.
In fact, we say Omena is suffering in expense of Bota.
Yes.
what does that mean?
The youths are the ones suffering. That's something which is visible. Yeah, when you look at the way, especially what my brother said, the people who come from outside Kenya, the freedom that they are enjoying in doing business here is very different from what we, as the patriot of this nation, and the people who have intention of positive development of our country are given. Yeah. So that's where men and Bota
are suffering. And the education system, we need to have a serious review of what our people are being fed at school. Yes? We have youth who come out of the education system. They're those guys, after high school, you'd have these police recruitments going on around the country. And so long as you were 18 years and above, that was the basic qualification. And you're a registered Kenyan citizen. Yes? With certificate of good conduct. I don't know why you even have to pay to be confirmed of good conduct in your own country. Yes? When you want to serve your own government, your own country, they require you to pay to be verified to be of good conduct.
Okay.
So when you normally go for these recruitments, but I ever tried them. But do you know why I was disqualified? It's because of my grade. They said sisi twende tutafute kazi zao, twende university tusome tufanye kazi za ofisi.
And so far so good.
So far so good. I'm here. Of course, I'm trying. Created a few jobs for few Kenyans, youths mostly, and stuff. But my point is, we have an education system where they produce workers. They don't produce investors or innovators. So what is the gap here? We need a system where people are not only taught about the Moses of the story of Moses in the Bible, what happened and whatever. We want them also to be taught the critical thinking. Yeah. So when you are out here, you might be having your grades. You see, when you join Form 1, you'll be asked, what do you want to become after your Form 4 or your grades, nini? I want to become a doctor, nini. But then you have your A after Form 4 and you realize again, it's not what you want. Maybe you imagine going to school for another 6 years, actually 7, and then you tarmac for 4 years again before you start adding. And then you look at another course which is just 4 years. So you want to change and go to that. But if our people are taught critical thinking, things like pens will be produced hapa kwa ghetto too. Guys will be making them. There are so many plastics around.
Okay.
You know?
So according to you, we should focus our education system on critical thinking and creativity.
We need to bring these things. When I used to, I used to talk to, I love talking to the old, elderly mostly. And there's a time I sat down with my granddad, and he used to tell me how things have changed from their time to our time. It took us 50 years, over 50 years, to change from the Muzungu system of education, which used to train Africans to become workers for them, to transition into something that could benefit our country as at to date. You know, in those days, the African child was taught how to think critically, how to solve problems and respond. And you look at them, look at engineers of those days. Yes? Look at the doctors of those days and compare them to ours of today. Look at the teachers of those days and our teachers today. Yeah? There's a gap, there's a loophole in the education system. Once there's that hole in that system, it trickles down.
Okay. Thank you very much for that.
Yes. And lastly, what Jimmy said about youth fund. Umekewa chakula hapa and then there's a wall. My friend, myself, I've ever tried to apply for that fund. It's not a joke.
Ama umekewa chakula na hujaitwa.
No hujaitwa, exactly.
In fact, sometimes a very nice built kio mirror.
Yes.
Then the chips or a very good well fried chicken is there. You only take a portion of ugali because you cannot reach the chicken.
The chicken.
You take a portion of ugali.
Unagonga kwa window.
You hit.
Unawekea chakula lakini unaambiwa guza. There's a warning that guza hiyo chakula uone.
You remain there salivating like a dog. Okay, thank you very much. So maybe as we finish, as the next general election is approaching, what can you comment on it as a second chance to the youth to salvage this situation of inclusivity and so?
I think it's high time young people come out and claim their space. I expect to see a number of young people coming up to contest for different political posts, way down from MCA to member of parliament to governor, women rep, and even president. Yes, we expect young people to come out and contest for these positions because we have come to realize that for us to come out of all this problem, we must first ensure that we achieve that political power. Because all these issues that are affecting us, it is all because of lack of political goodwill. So young people should come, contest for these positions, and ensure for the young leaders, you cannot be a leader if you cannot influence. Ensure that you come out, influence other young people, explain to them in the best language that they can understand, that for them to be represented well, they need to have people who are having their interest at heart.
Okay, now that we've mentioned 2022,
Yes.
I'll just finish it in totality. You mentioned something about being an aspirant.
Yes.
Maybe you can comment on something, you can tell people what you have for them in store and your position.
Oh, okay. Just as I told you, I'm also vying to be a member of County Assembly, that is for Migosi Ward. As a young person, I came out to vie not only because I'm a young person. You know, the issue of leadership also comes with competency. You must first understand what you want to do, and how you want to do it. We are young, we've gone to school, we are educated, we understand what it means to govern a constituency, and also to do the right thing to ensure that there's service delivery to our people. So we are not just going for the race for the sake of it. We are going for the race when we know what we want to do, and how we want to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Victor, you next. You comment about what the youth can do to change 2022 as their second chance, and then you tell them too your position and what you have for them.
Yes. So like I said earlier, that where we stand today as youths will determine where we will sit tomorrow in our old age. This is not the time for wheelbarrow politics for us as youths, because if you're going to fuata that wheelbarrow, imagine where that wheelbarrow will make you sit tomorrow when you are 50 years old, 60 years old, moving forward. We don't want to feel indebted to any politician. We understand the history of our country, where we have come from. We are not very sure where we are going, but we have an idea of where we want to go. We know that our fathers, our grandparents fought for the political liberation of this nation. And we know what happened. You look at the stories of His Excellency, Honorable Prime Minister, who went to prison. We talk of Kina Jomo Kenyatta, who went to, you know, they went to prison, they fought through the turnings, you know, to liberate us politically and get us where we are. We must understand that our war is different. We want Kisumu Central constituency to be a youth constituency. We want a youth county and a youth government. In fact, I will mobilize youth, and I want to tell them, in 2022 we will vote for that presidential candidate who is either a youth or his deputy is a youth. So we will start from the top, coming down.
So you assist top, down.
Yes.
Okay.
Representation. If you are a presidential candidate, pick a deputy who is a youth. We will vote for you 100%.
Okay.
And if you are a youth vying for presidency, let us sit down. We will not only vote for you, like Jimmy said, we will not only vote for you because you are a youth. Let us sit down with you. Here, what is your policy document for your campaign? What is the gap you want to fill? Where do our interests as youth stand? Then we will move forward. So thank you very much. That's what I say. But 2022, tufungue macho. Acheni wheelbarrow, my friend.
Okay, you mentioned you had political ambitions.
Yes.
You can share with your constituents.
Sure.
Something.
So, Council Kisumu Central constituency. We've lived here and we understand the gap. You know, in Kisumu, when you vying in Kisumu Central constituency, there are three major pillars to look at. One is education, two is business, and the other one is health.
Okay.
Those are my pillars. Those are my key interests for the next election. And I want to welcome Visionaries into this table. I always say, if we don't have a table, if we don't have a seat in that table for 2022, we break that table. So either you give us a seat in that table or we break that table. So that's the way forward.
That's so powerful. Vincent, maybe what you can comment about 2022 as a chance for the youth to salvage the question of inclusivity, and maybe to talk about your political aspiration.
One, as a Christian, sometimes when I read the Bible, there's a time that Jesus had a table, shared a table meal with his disciples, and he wanted to test if they really know who they are following. Then he posted this question: who am I? And after that question, he also asked them, who do you people say I am? You see, some of them, it brought a lot of confusion within them. Then one of them whispered, that's you are Jesus, Son of God. Then it is God. So, what am I trying to say is, we youth, we have to find our definition in Kenyan history and in Kenyan politics. If we cannot get our definition as youth, then we are dead. Right? Time has come that we have to know and follow the right thing and at the right time. Let us not be used as the other time I say political object and subject, that any politician who wants to buy will always use youth. To youth I will give you job, youth I will do what. But we only found we being useful during that electioneering period, that they only give you a fuel. Sometimes they give you the token 500 shillings, after which they forget about it. In fact, it's normally an opportunity that these leaders or politicians take to buy our voice within a period of 5 years. We will not speak. Anytime you try to talk about any such issues, bad roads, bad education, poor health facilities, no medicines within our health facilities, the politician will tell you, my friend, do you remember the time you lined up when I was giving you the standard? I paid you. I did not take or pluck this money from the tree. I got some of them take loans, some of them they use money from their pocket. So that's the time now they use in now getting back their funds. We as youth, we have to elect the leaders who have good intention for the youth. In fact, time has come that politicians, or we giving policies or agendas to the people, should be thrown to the rubbish pit. Time has come that we have to sit with the people and ask them, I'm here, I want you to vote for me or to give me this position. What do you want me to do for you? That should be the new version of our Kenyan politics. Because many times we've been given agendas that I will do 1, 2, 3, but when they are in that office, they do. They don't do. So we have to find out and change the issue. Think that the youth, we are highly educated, our IQ is fast, and we think different, and think that the challenges that we are facing, we keep on realizing how we can be solving them each day. And in my political ambition, I will be vying come 2022 as a candidate, as an MCA in West Gen, and my intention and my ambition and my dream is to make sure that youth is not youth, a youth is heart. Support agriculture, support young entrepreneurs, and to make sure that those who need education, especially when it comes to bursary, the poor and the less fortunate people, the orphans, are given the first priority. You find that in this administration, or other even in the county or in the ward administration, the people being given this funds are the children of chief, or those who have a relationship with the people working within the ward office, or even the constituency level in the country. So we have to change the conversation and bring a permanent solution to the issues or problems that are facing.
Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen. So as we wrap up, I'm going to give each of you 1 minute, maybe to comment on our show, maybe to say something, just say something, anything related to our topic, our show, our project, anything. I will start with Vincent Opia here.
I personally want to appreciate Odima for this wonderful show. This is a good beginning. It's a good start, and it's an opportunity that youth are going to get to air their issues. It's so rare to get such platforms. So this thought and the idea that we've come with for giving us this opportunity as upcoming leaders and opinion, you call them opinion?
Shepard.
Yeah, opinion shapers and the young political think tanks. We really appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Maybe you can tell our viewers to continue subscribing.
Viewers continue subscribing to the Critical Eye channel. Yeah, it's a very good
I must say with a lot of humility, but I'm grateful for hosting me in your show, The Critical Eye. It's quite impressive. This is a youth-driven idea, owned by the youth, and giving a platform and opportunity for the youth. So I really want to recommend this, and thank you very much for seeing it, that there's a gap you needed to fill for this youth. This is a contribution you're making for our society. And I want to say to all the viewers, subscribe to this channel. All those people who believe that vijana wanaweza na wakati wa vijana ni saa hii, wakiwa bado ni vijana. Subscribe to this channel. Let us like the videos if they impress you. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks for compliments, guys, but don't forget our cameraman over there. So I'll finish with Jimmy again.
Okay, fine. Thank you, Mr. Dila. Just want to say that the media is one of the strongest tools in bringing change in any society. And this is one of the spaces, whatever you have created for young people to come hear their views, their grievances. It's a good thing, and we hope that going forward we will have more young people coming on board. And just to finish, I also want to say that we are in a nation that is governed by the rule of law. We have the most robust constitution, one of the most robust constitutions in the world. With full implementation of that constitution, we as a nation can be grateful. I just want to encourage young people. I also want to encourage the government together with the political leaders that may we not forget, we should be inspired by the aspirations captured in the preamble of our 2010 Constitution, that we, the people of Kenya, acknowledging the supremacy of the Almighty God of all nations, honoring those who heroically struggle to bring peace and justice to our land, proud of our ethnic, cultural, and religious diversity, and determined to live in peace and unity as one indivisible sovereign nation. Respectful of the environment, which is our heritage, and determined to protect it for the benefit of the future generation. Committed to nurturing the well-being of the individual, the family, the nation, and our community. Recognizing the aspiration of all Kenyans of a government based on essential values of human rights, equality, freedom, democracy, and the rule of law. Exercising our inalienable and sovereign rights to determine the form of governance we want for our country. And having participated fully in the making of 2010 Constitution, enact, adopt, and use that Constitution to ourselves and to the future generation. May God bless young people, may God bless our country.
Thanks for that bombshell. So I think our show is finished today, and thank you very much, gentlemen, for the articulate engagement. I indeed enjoyed and look forward to hosting you not only once, but many times moving forward. I indeed was enlightened, and I want to thank our viewers too for tuning in. And of course, don't forget to subscribe, and see you in our next show, because this is your critical eye.